Hi everyone, so as you can see I'm not wearing makeup, and that's because today we're going to have a very special episode. I'm going to be talking about my insecurities, and specifically my insecurities about my bare face. So I've had this problem for a while, and I think I didn't want to admit it to myself until very recently. Oh, I didn't remove the mirror on this palette. So I'm going to be doing my makeup on camera. I already put on my skincare, my moisturizer and stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna stop now because I'm gonna start to pick apart of my skin. It's horrible. It definitely looks worse up close than it does on camera because you can see less detail. But I wanted to talk about this problem for a while, because sometimes I think that maybe I want to make like get ready with me kind of videos, and then I remember that I have to appear first without makeup on in order to then put it on. Let me start with eye primer. Started with Milani Face eye primer, and I think this is more of a common problem than it might seem. I think that maybe some of you who wear makeup might resonate more, might relate to it. I think that a lot of people don't. I think that there's a lot of people who assume that everyone who wears makeup is insecure about their face, and there's also people who deny that there's any correlation between wearing makeup and being insecure about your face. And I think there's really people of all kinds who wear makeup. Some of them don't really mind their bare face at all, or they don't think there's anything wrong with it, and there's people who do. I want to use the Blue Moon makeup palette just because I never wear it, and today is pretty much a day of doing stuff that I don't generally do, so I figured that I might as well wear this one. It looks like this, by the way, in case you were wondering what this looked like. Really beautiful blue palette. And by the way, in case you're wondering, I'm putting my hair back with this, but I also want to see if my bangs are going to maybe curl enough to where I don't have to like pin them, because I want to grow them out, but I also want to keep them in a way. I don't know what I want to do with them. So yeah, I think we're going through a moment culturally where where confidence is really valued, and obviously that's a really good thing for the most part. I like the fact that it seems that now we're okay with people valuing themselves and their time, and instead of expecting people to give us this like fake modesty to make us more comfortable. And I think we're getting past that idea of calling people conceited or narcissistic just because they think highly of themselves. Obviously there is such a thing as disregarding others, but it's not the same thing as thinking highly enough of yourself, having good self-esteem. And I also think though that in this climate sometimes it becomes difficult to admit that you have insecurities. I've never worn blue eyeshadow before, so I'm a bit afraid of how things are going to turn out, but hopefully I know how to do this. So, oh wow, this is going exactly the way it shouldn't go. It's incredibly not pigmented, but we're gonna go through it. I think I'm gonna do what I have to do. So I feel pretty okay about my face whenever I do have some makeup on, at least eyeliner and concealer. That's generally my go-to look. My daily look is just liner and concealer. This is not going well. But looking at my bare face is a little bit different. I feel like sometimes it depends on the day, of course, but some days at best it's kind of plain in comparison to my face with makeup on, and at worst I just kind of feel ugly, to be sincere. I know that there's a lot of people who think that whenever someone talks about insecurities they're fishing for compliments or what have you, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, the point is that I think that there's definitely gonna be at least a few people who can relate to this. I've looked up this topic up a couple of times on YouTube, and strangely I haven't really found anyone who talks about not really liking their bare face as much as their face with makeup on. And I think that's partly because there's already this idea that women who wear makeup do it because they hate their natural face, or they're insecure about it. And even though I am insecure about my natural face, I think that I always feel like most people and most women who wear makeup don't really have an issue with it. Even especially beauty gurus here on YouTube, I feel like they have no issue showing their bare face, and sometimes even a sort of unflattering version of their bare face. But I do really doubt that there's no one who feels this way about their face, because if I do feel that way, I'm pretty sure that there's other people who also do. I mean, I would be pretty surprised to learn that nobody really has an issue with them looking better with makeup on and then waking up or removing their makeup at the end of the day and feeling not as great. Because when I remove, I feel like I always put off removing my makeup at the end of the day. I always do it before I go to sleep, but I feel like I put it off because I want to put off looking at myself without makeup on, because I just look my best with it. Okay, you obviously have to really pack on blue eyeshadow. Like I said, this is the first time I worked with blue eyeshadow, so I'm not really experienced, but it's definitely nothing like working with neutrals. Neutrals are definitely more like you have to build them up slowly. This one you have to pack on the pigment and then blend it. The pigment sort of collects on certain places more than others, even though I feel like I applied my primer very evenly, but whatever. Let's just hope this ends up well. So I don't know if maybe this is enough, or maybe I'm just going a little bit too much on it. Probably should have shaved my eyebrows as well before started this, but it doesn't really matter that much now. So I started wearing makeup once in a while in middle school, but I didn't start to actually wear things like you know, eyeliner, concealer, all these things until I was in high school. And then that's when I really started to wear makeup every day, and I started to get used to my face with makeup on. And other people obviously also started to get used to the way that I looked with makeup on, and I think there was a point in which there had been people who were close to me and they had never seen my face without makeup on. And even though that's obviously not something that's wrong, it's strange to remember it, to think about the fact that in the days where I was running late and, you know, I didn't really have time to do anything else, I still made sure to put on at least eyeliner and mascara, because I felt like my eyes were just so small and you could barely even notice that my eyes were there if it wasn't for eyeliner. I still think that way. I still feel that way about my eyes to this day, but you know, I'm gonna use these. I now realize that I never even told you what shades I was using, but I've been using this one. This one I've been using, and then I'm gonna go on with this one. Oh wow, it's quite pretty. It's really pretty. I love this quite beautiful shade. I just always made sure to wear makeup every day, and I think that was partly because I was afraid that someone would notice that I didn't look as great without makeup on, that I didn't really look my best without it. And of course, since I had been wearing makeup for such a long time, then obviously people had gotten used to that image of me. And it's not that I was constantly in people's minds or anything, but I think people do notice when you suddenly look sick or you look tired, when you aren't really sick or tired. It's just your natural face, the way that you look naturally when you wake up. And you know, sometimes I think we're just used to women wearing makeup and, you know, looking really enhanced, not just with makeup but also with surgeries and things like this, and with Photoshop, of course, that when we see someone who's completely unaltered even with makeup, we think that there's something wrong with them, or with her, I guess, as opposed to them simply looking the way that a person looks. And the thing is, I don't really want to look at makeup as a culprit. I don't want people to think that the problem is wearing makeup and that you simply should stop wearing makeup and get used to your makeupless face. Because well, I wasn't necessarily any happier before I started wearing makeup. I wasn't necessarily any happier with my appearance. I think that, you know, I just started to go through puberty and people started looking at me, and I started to become more aware of my appearance. And, you know, it's just part of going through puberty, becoming a teenager and then a woman. And, you know, it's not like I can just go back to being a child and being completely oblivious about how my appearance affects the way that people look at me and treat me. So at the end of it all, I'm not going to say that makeup is the culprit, because I enjoy it, of course, and also because I think that my insecurities are very strongly also about the things that people have said to me when I have and haven't been wearing makeup. And I like the way that makeup can really change your look, you know, from one day to the other. I've never worn blue eyeshadow, like I said, and I find it really fun. It's quite pretty. I often wear red and it makes me look really different, and I like the way it makes me look. And sometimes when I wear neutral colors, I think it also looks really cool. But of course, colors, you know, like blue, red, are just really fun, and purple, when the couple of times that I worn purple. I have an issue with wing liner, but let's see if I can do it on camera. And by the way, I'm using the KVD tattoo liner. This is in the shade Mad Max Brown, and I've been liking wearing brown liner as opposed to black, because my lashes are actually brown, and that's another issue of mine, or rather insecurity of mine. My lashes are really short and straight, and they're also not even very dark. I think that's gonna be the eye look, really. You know those memes that are like, I have two moods? They're usually makeup related memes that are like, oh, I have two moods. Either I'm wearing a bare face, like I'm not wearing makeup at all, or I'm wearing like a full-on face glam. I'm pretty much in the middle. Like, I don't really wear full face of glam almost ever. And I also have to always be wearing makeup if I go outside or if I film or anything like that. I have to be okay. So the shimmer shadow definitely went on my under eyes. That's pretty unfortunate, but you know, we're gonna do what we have to do. Still wanna wear my concealer over it, I guess, because I don't have that many other options. This is COVERGIRL TRUBLEND concealer. I love how I got my hair out of the way and it's still in the way, but whatever. And of course that could just be partly my taste in makeup, but I think it's also strongly related to just being afraid of judgment, you know, of other people's judgment, because there's this constant idea of like, oh, look at this girl with like really heavy makeup on, and then she removes it and she's actually ugly underneath. And it's like, what the hell? I mean, first of all, what is the point? Because do you want them to not wear makeup then? Because if you're calling someone ugly, or you imply that they're ugly, and then you don't want them to wear makeup, like, I don't see how that makes sense. It's like people who, it's like this constant, really judgmental and really contradictory discourse about plastic surgery as well. Like, oh, making fun of women for having flat bodies or having no tits or whatever, but also making fun of women for being fake and having plastic surgery. So the only way you can win is if you naturally have big tits, big ass, big everything, but small waist and everything, because obviously you can only be thin or like at least mid-size. So you have to either naturally have these things, or you have to pretend to not have any work done. Like, but then if you pretend to not have work done, you get judged because you lied. But then when you do say it, then you get judged because you did get plastic surgery. I mean, nobody wins. Absolutely nobody wins in this game. Of course, men are also oftentimes really made fun of because of their appearance. I really noticed, I think, in fact, I think sometimes because we have this idea that men are less sensitive, we can be, socially speaking, as a society, we can be pretty cruel to them, and then expect them to just take it. And that includes, you know, men being cruel to each other about their appearance, or women being cruel to men, or what have you. Recently, I had been rewatching some videos by COVERGIRL Nation, and there were several times where, whenever people disagreed with him, they didn't like his opinions, they would constantly say or talk about him balding. And aside from the fact that that's really mean, I mean, balding is something that simply happens, you know. It's like making fun of someone for having gray hairs. Like, all men are going to bald, you know, at some point in their lives. And a lot of men start balding when they're in their 20s. It's actually much more common than you might expect. I don't even know where I'm gonna place this concealer. I don't know, I just put it there randomly. I don't know what I'm doing with this concealer. I think I'm just gonna put it randomly, you know, places. But even then, it is about gender, because why do we think men are less sensitive? Why do we think they have less of a threshold of feelings or what have you? I almost never curl my lashes because I feel like it's not even worth it. But I'm just doing this in this one time. And then it removes my eyeliner, so I have to go over it again in some parts. I think that partly my wanting to wear less makeup, or looks that are generally not as heavy, or they don't look as heavy rather, it's oftentimes because I fear being judged. And I fear that people will see like a really high contrast between my face without makeup on and my face with makeup on. And you know, that's kind of the idea behind the whole take her swimming on the first date kind of memes that were really popular a couple of years ago. And aside from the fact that I've noticed that people do kind of consider me less attractive, or just don't really look at me if I have no makeup on, I have had people just straight up say things to me that like pretty much confirm it, if you know what I mean. A couple of them have been sort of indirect, and you could say that maybe they weren't even about me. I don't know where my blush is. Oh, here. It's here. Okay, good. By the way, that was the Essence Making Me Brow. And this is the Milk Makeup Mini in the shade Work, the Lip and Cheek Mini. So there was a time in high school that they were going to take our pictures for the certificate, and we were told to wear minimal makeup, but at the end they told us to just remove all of our makeup altogether. And so I went to the bathroom to remove my makeup, and after I came back to the line, you know, they were taking our pictures and stuff, I heard a couple of guys talking amongst each other, and one of them said that the girls in the class didn't look as pretty without makeup on, or he said something like they weren't as pretty as he thought we were, or something like that. And I was pretty much the only person who wore makeup every day, so I feel like they were pretty much talking about me, or at least they were talking about a couple of girls, which definitely included me, because I was the one person who definitely wore eyeliner every day. There was another girl who also wore makeup. There were a couple of times she didn't arrive with makeup on and she put it on throughout the day. But yeah, I was the one who, like, if you saw me there, I was wearing makeup. So that kind of hurt, to be honest with you. Sometimes when I got pimples and stuff, guys would point them out to me, and I know that I'm talking about high school boys, I mean, I know, but that does kind of affect you when you're in high school. And there was a time in college where this friend, a male friend of mine, we were talking about something completely unrelated, and then he said to me, hey, you should wear concealer, or he didn't call it concealer because he didn't even know what he was talking about. He said, hey, you should wear makeup to cover your dark under eyes. And it's funny because I actually did sometimes wear concealer on my under eyes, but I think that they simply didn't care to wear it. But that comment was actually very significant because it told me that people did notice when I had dark under eyes, because sometimes you want to tell yourself, oh, people won't notice that, you know, your under eyes are dark, that maybe you look a little bit tired, but clearly people do notice. I guess you could say that maybe he was saying it to be mean or to neg or what have you, but whatever the case may be, I think that he was being honest, because I myself could tell that was one of my insecurities already at the time. I'm not sure that I love the lip gloss. It's the NYX, and yeah, I'm not sure that I'm a big fan of it, especially because of the way it feels, but I might change it for my usual reddish kind of blurred reddish look. I think I do. There's something about me wearing lip gloss that feels kind of like doesn't make sense. I know that that could be seen as like, oh, I'm being constructive, a comment like, oh, I'm being constructive, you know, I'm just saying you should wear more makeup. But I feel like that's not really a possibility. I don't know how telling someone to wear more makeup and to cover their features is constructive, especially when it has nothing to do with, like, it's not like he was giving me advice for like theater makeup or anything like that. It was just, he just felt like saying it, like saying that I had dark under eyes, you know. And the thing with honesty is that if someone asks for your opinion and you're honest, then that's fine, you're being honest. But if nobody even asks you and you just want to tell someone, hey, that looks bad, that looks ugly, or whatever, or you should cover this or whatever, that's not being constructive at all. So I think as a result of all these kinds of experiences, I simply stopped wanting people to look at my face without makeup on. Even my female acquaintances and friends. More recently, I saw this more extreme example of that with Charlotte Tilbury. In case you don't know, she is the owner of a makeup and skincare brand, which is called after her, it's named after her, it's called Charlotte Tilbury. And she once in an interview said that she sleeps with makeup on. She removes her makeup and then puts on makeup to sleep because she doesn't want her husband to see her without makeup on. And I thought that was crazy, of course, but I almost saw myself in that segment when she said that, because I'm like, what if this goes on forever and I get afraid of my, I don't know, potential future husband seeing me without makeup on and I have to sleep with makeup on? I mean, that's ridiculous. That would be horrible. There's mites on your lashes. I mean, especially when you don't remove your makeup thoroughly. I mean, it's really not a good idea to do that. It's not good for you. It's a terrible idea, and it's honestly not exactly a sign of a healthy relationship. And I don't want to assume anything. Maybe it's all on her, or maybe her husband has told her stuff that she has thought of kind of mean and maybe has made me more insecure. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on between them. But my point is that I don't want to be that way. I don't want to end up in that situation where I'm afraid of someone who's supposed to love me. I'm afraid of their judgment or them thinking that I'm ugly without makeup on. But I'm kind of going on that way. I mean, to this day, I feel like I want to avoid having people see me without makeup on. Even, again, just acquaintances, friends, any date that I go to, of course, I wear makeup, and which is not unhealthy or wrong, of course, but I always have this feeling that maybe the one time they see me without makeup on, when they eventually do, they might not like me as much, or they might think that I don't look as great, and that they could find a girl who looks better without makeup on. Because, to be honest with you, there are women who have bigger eyes than mine without makeup on, and even when they're with their bare faces, you can tell their eyes are big and they have nice curled lashes naturally and thick lashes. Maybe they have bigger lips or a nicer nose or something like that. And you know, that's the kind of what bothers me, that most people will look, pretty much everyone looks better with makeup on, and everyone looks a little bit plain without makeup on. But I always know that there's people, women, who look better than I do without makeup on. And that's something that, it's just kind of something that I have accepted, but at the same time, it kind of bothers me when I think about my appearance and how there is this certainty that there are people who look better than I do, and why would you be with me when there are people who look better? But at the same time, I always remember that, you know, I am myself. I'm not attracted to men because of their appearance. Sometimes I am because they do and say things that I think are interesting. Sometimes I think they are interesting, or I find them very smart, or I admire them, or I just, you know, think they're cool, or what have you. And I think even there was this point in my channel where even I was afraid of my viewers, if you will, of my viewers' judgment. I was afraid that maybe people would see me in this video without makeup on and would think that, would be somewhat disappointed by me, disappointed by the fact that I don't look as good without it and that I look different. But of course, there's some point where you have to let go of that fear, because it's just ridiculous. I mean, how long can I be in this channel without ever showing my makeupless face? And truthfully, I don't think I really look that different without it, but when I remove it, I definitely see how it's very different, and how people would see that it's kind of different, you know. Of course I do look different without makeup on. If I look the same, I wouldn't wear makeup. What would be the point of it? It would be like a clear gel over my face. But at the same time, it's difficult to stop fearing judgment, because people may not say stuff to your face often, but you know that people sometimes feel ways that they never tell you about. Like those memes that, you know, taking her swimming to the first day, you know, to first date. Maybe guys wouldn't say that to my face, but some would agree with the sentiment, and they would feel disappointed upon seeing me without makeup on, and you know, maybe they would feel that I tricked them or what have you, or maybe they just would have a general disappointed response, like, oh wow, you don't look that great, even if they don't really say it. So yes, I am afraid of judgment, and I think that's why I do say many of the things that I do. And I think that's obviously not just me. A lot of people are so afraid of judgment that they change their behaviors and they keep their appearance sort of moderate in a way to avoid judgment. And there's really no moral to this story, to be honest with you. I hate to disappoint, but I don't think I have anything to really propose other than you just have to let go of this kind of fear at some point. And I think that I also just made a video because I knew that there would be people who would resonate with me, even men, whether you wear makeup or not. I'm sure that men also have some insecurities about their appearance, or about their faces or their bodies or what have you, and maybe they haven't said it because they think that they're supposed to never have insecurities, and they're supposed to not have these kinds of feelings, or these kinds of fearing, this kind of fear of towards judgment, of fear of being judged, or fear of being seen as sensitive of other people's opinions. And that's basically all that I wanted to say. So I hope that this video was in some way interesting or helpful to you, and hopefully my next video will be a bit more upbeat and maybe more joyful, I guess. But yeah, today it was more of a vulnerable video than anything else, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you related to it in some way, or even if you didn't, that you found something helpful from it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.